In this next video, we're going to add some holes to our profile using the CRF flat pattern hole editor. And for this, we go to the punch sheet tab on the ribbon, and then from the punch sheet tab we go here to create 2D punch sheet. A new drawing will then be loaded with our part length. You can see here the fold lines of our profile. We can now modify the length of this by going here and then typing in the new part length. So let's change it to 400. We can of course then go here again to the 2D punch sheet tab and save the punch sheet. This will now be updated. Now first of all, I'm going to insert a row of holes. It's possible to insert individual, of course, but we will do first of all a row. So for this I'm going to draw an insertion point, and this will be the line from 0, 0, and I'll make this 25 millimeters long. And it is the end position of this line which will be the insertion point of my row of holes. So now I'm going to go to the icon 2D tool, which is on the 2D punch-in tab. And for this one I'm going to select a bore hole 10 millimeters long and specify here a row of holes. And in the Y direction there will be 8 holes, and the distance between the holes in the Y direction will be 50 millimeters. Now in the X direction there will just be one row, and now hit OK. You'll see then on the end of our crosshairs a series of holes are drawn. We can insert these here, the end point of the line we drew. These will be then added to the flat pattern. Again, we should now go to the 2D punch sheet tab and save the changes. Now we can create a 3D model of this. So we go to the 3D model panel. Not all holes and contours can be evaluated. This is no problem. COPRA is just detecting polylines which aren't a complete circle. Hit OK. And now you can see, if we look at some different COPRA views, here by going 8 and enter, we can see the ISO view, our profile with a row of holes along the dovetail feature. I'm now going to return to the 2D wireframe view, again from COPRA views. Select the 2D wireframe and we can add some additional holes. Let's take a split screen of 3, and I'm going to maximize this view by highlighting the window and going here to maximize view. Let us now add some additional construction lines and insert some individual holes. So, first of all, I'm going to draw a line over here on the left hand side from the midpoint of the overall length horizontally at 37 millimeters, and again here on the right hand side 37 millimeters horizontally to the left, and it's the end point of these lines which will be the insertion point for my slots. So now, again, back to the punch sheet menu and go to 2D tool. And this time I'm going to take a different shape from the library, and it will be an oblong hole. Now here you can see we have possibilities for inserting the oblong hole. Here the insertion point will be the quadrant of the arc. Here the insertion point will be the centre of the circle. And here we will have the centre point of the oblong itself. Now I'm going to specify some parameters. The length here will be 50. The width can remain 10, but the angle here should be 90. And this time I'm going to take the values to the database and give it a name. And let's call it the 10 by 50 slot. Okay. So we can now use this one in the future should we wish. And more importantly now, I'm going to select a single hole. Hit OK, and again on our crosshairs you can see a slot has been drawn with the parameters we specified, and the insertion point will be here, the end point of the drawn line. Now on this occasion I want to repeat the command, so you can see yes is down here in brackets, so I'm going to right click and then COPRA will draw another for me. Again the end point of this line. This time I don't want any more, so I type N for no and enter. Naturally, as we've made some changes, I need to now save the flat pattern again. So again to the punch sheet panel and then here to save punch sheet. You can see here the contour has now been highlighted. We can press OK. Again, not all hole contours could be evaluated. This is no problem. And OK again. We can now take a new look at the 3D model. We can delete the old one. And again, by hitting 8 and enter, we get an isometric view of our profile, and we can return to COPRA views and switch to the realistic view. And again we can see our 3D part drawn now with the additional slots. Let us return to the 2D wireframe. And again, first of all, type 3 and enter. We get 3 views, and I'm going to maximize the highlighted window by going here. So now we've added the holes, we have the possibility to draw some bespoke shapes. So let me just draw something, a simple shape, and we will add it to our library. Let us go to this area here. And I will draw a hexagon. So now we have an interesting bespoke shape. We now return to the punch sheet panel, and this time we go to define tool contour. you'll see we're now asked to specify a name. The hole pattern name in this example will be hexagon. Hit OK, and now we're asked to enter the origin. This will be the midpoint here of this line and the shape for the punching tool. Select it and enter. Now when we return to the 2D tool, you'll see over here on tools, hexagon, this one is our orientation, is here. And of course, if we switch off ortho, we can insert this where we desire. I can naturally now move this into the correct position by just drawing a line from here to here and moving from the end point here to the midpoint here. Let us now save the flat pattern again. And of course, we can now update our 3D model. And you can now see again by going to the ISO view, so doing 8 and enter, and switching on the realistic view. You can see our part detail has been updated. We can also now create a 3D flower. I'll switch back to the wireframe to do this. And then we go here to 3D model and 3D flower. Let's give COPRA a few seconds to draw this. And then you can see here on my crosshairs I can pick a position and the flower will be inserted. Again, now returning to realistic view, I can now browse through the forming stages. So now we've saved the holes, we can return to COPRA to see areas we should avoid for our roll design, in other words to give clearance to ensure we don't deform these holes. So now I'll close this drawing file. Of course it's possible to save it. We don't need to save the changes because we did this already, and here we don't need to save the drawing. So now if I go to COPRA Redraw, and here on the final profile you can see the slots over here in element 3 on the left hand side, the slot over here in element 16 on the right hand side, our new hexagonal shape which we took to the library here in element 14 and 5, and our row of holes here on element 9 and 10. So these are the areas when we're designing the roll tools that we should ensure we don't give compression, as this could deform our slots and holes accordingly. We'll now move on to do some roll design.